Xander Bogaerts, Dansby Swanson, Carlos Correa, Trey Turner, Derek Jeter, A-Rod, and Ozzie Smith. The Chicago Cubs are interested in all the shortstops. Tune in to today's episode of Locked On Cubs to figure out which one are we going to get and when.
Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Winter Meetings Week, and welcome back into Locked On Cubs alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs, and thanks for joining us whenever and wherever you may be listening. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard, and we hope you stick with us throughout the duration of the offseason. A lot across the hot stove, across baseball, Sam, over the weekend. A few different news and notes to update ourselves and everybody else on. We're going to break all that down and more. And hopefully you had a good weekend over there. I see you're sporting a soccer jersey of some kind, unless it's messy, very nice. And Jed Hoyer doesn't seem to be very messy with his negotiation right now. This guy is doing his due diligence, and I think the first report, really the first spot we're going to start, is where it's been for a while now, and that's the shortstop market, Sam.
Yeah, so I have a lot of stuff. There's two main rumors. I'll let you get to the official part of it, but I want to get my opinion out quickly because I owe this player and our listeners an explanation and apology.
Oh wow, really?
So right now, as we speak, I always tell you this. You never listen, but that's fine. You're the host. I'm just a supporting cast member. We should always say when we're recording if something drops. It's 8:38 Central Time.
You've never mentioned
Sunday
that
evening,
to me.
Okay. I lost you there for a second.
You've never mentioned that before. I'd give the time and the temperature if you want.
Yeah. Okay. You're back. There you are. Okay, great. Right now, the big rumor is the Cubs are going to make a big offer to Xander Bogaerts. Okay. Now, before I get into breaking all this stuff down, we'll do that in a little bit. I just want to talk Dansby Swanson because that was the hot rumor on Friday and Saturday.
All right, well, then we'll start there.
I want to officially say I do not think that would be a diet soda move. I did some maybe about 45 minutes of straight of research, homework, analytics stuff. He's not as good as the other three guys, especially offensively, but he is better defensively. And when you mix in the age, you mix in the intangibles, I really don't think I'd be that disappointed with that move. And if it's significantly less money per year than the other three guys, especially Correa, and that enables you to fill center field, fill first base, fill third base, it's probably a win overall. I want to officially take that back. Now, I'm not going to be parading around waving my towel if we sign him like we just won the championship, but I don't think it's the Cubs are just being cheap and pretending to contend move. I think it's a real move. I just want to say that. Now let's get to the rumors.
So can you see and hear me okay?
Yeah, we just had a brief thing.
Okay, yeah, because these are important programs. We want to make sure we
no, you look good.
We get that right. So John Morosi reported on Saturday the Cubs are showing, quote, active interest in Dansby Swanson. Jesse Rogers of ESPN 1000 followed up with that and said it's a 50-50 chance Swanson leaves the Braves, with the Cubs' chances at a similar percentage. And so clearly this is a player that is at least as of Saturday, a lot of the fan base was reacting to those two things. And there was certainly some spirited discussion, which I think, prompted a lot of your homework, which is definitely justified. And, my thing with Swanson is he is a good player. We've established that, especially after your response there. It's just that he's the fourth of the four.
Right.
And so that's not as enticing. But what is enticing is that they would sign one of the four. Now, with Swanson, though, comes the separate caveat and category of, well, if you sign Swanson, comma, who else is showing up to Clark and Addison?
Right.
Because that's probably going to be the cheapest of the four signings as well. Not saying
At
or
least per
inferring.
year.
Yeah, not inferring or trying to speculate. That's why the Cubs would prioritize a player like that. However, if you do, and he does join forces with the Cubs, you're certainly going to have some dollars to spend elsewhere, if not so with the other players. So, that was new over the weekend that perhaps they stepped up their pursuit of Swanson, the World Series champion with the Braves. But then Sunday, Sam, we got another report about another shortstop, and the hot stove right now is exciting. We haven't had any official media availability in San Diego yet. That's going to happen, I believe, tonight or tomorrow midday is what I saw last. So everybody is gathering their stuff and planting their flag there, but for the winter meetings as the week plays out. But I wouldn't be surprised if something big goes down soon.
Yeah, so Sunday, so the rumor today has been Bogaerts. Now,
Yeah, so I can give you those couple if you want me to.
well, let me just break them down real quick.
Yeah.
Bogaerts. So why I've kind of turned on Swanson is I didn't realize that he had hit significantly over 20 home runs a few times, and I didn't realize the level of defense that he had at shortstop. And when you put those two together, pair him with Nico Horner in the middle infield, the intangibles are just flying off the page. They're popping off the page. Bogaerts is different. He's much older. I believe he's the oldest of the four.
He is.
He is probably the worst defensively of the four. But he is probably the best pure hitter of the four and probably the safest bet to hit of the four. I think he's hit over 300 many times in his career. He's been over 800 in the OPS category for about 5 straight years. He is a bat to ball guy. So the only concerning trend with his bat is that this past year was his worst slug. In his prime, he only hit 15 home runs. We know that the Cubs do need, slug in this lineup because they have plenty of bat to ball guys, but he's still a bat that's going to help you win. I think, Matt, it's important to mention before you get into these rumors. So why, Sam, Correa, what's happening? I'll tell you exactly what's happening right now.
Okay.
About 2 weeks ago, there was an article or something that came out that we talked about that the Cubs don't want to set the market. Remember that?
Yes.
Well, something has flipped because now the Cubs are in talks with the two guys out of these shortstops that absolutely are setting the market. Correa and Trey Turner aren't going to set the market because they believe each of those guys and their agents believe that they're the best of the four. So they are going to get the biggest deals. Swanson or Bogaerts going first makes the most sense because those guys are a little bit lesser than the other two value-wise.
Yep.
And so they're going to set the market. So what this is telling me is that just from a business perspective, something has flipped with Jed. Maybe he was a little bit concerned with the Abreu thing and was like, hey, we need to just make sure we get somebody. So if setting the market's the safest thing to do, that makes sense. I thought the Cubs and Correa made so much sense because they both were not going to set the market, right? I thought Swanson would maybe go to San Fran first or Atlanta or something, set the market, and then you're like, okay, what makes sense for Correa? Where now that the Cubs are the two guys the Cubs are linked to more than Correa, to me are one of the two guys that's going to set the shortstop market. I don't know if I explained that poorly, but
what benefits do you think there are if they do strike first with Bogaerts or Swanson?
Simple, they get somebody.
Okay.
Striking first is safe, right? You get somebody. You don't leave it up to, well, you know what? We wanted to wait because we really wanted Correa. We just guarantee that we get a major, major free agent asset and then move on to the next one. That's the only benefit, and it's a huge one. Hey, it's done. We got someone.
Yeah. There would be many advantages to that. So I got 3 things on Bogaerts. Okay,
yeah,
so this is really heating up, folks.
Yeah.
Bob Nightingale said he's the Cubs' top priority.
Yeah, Nightingale don't know anything.
Then we have Marino Pepin, who everybody had to translate his tweet today. He said the Cubs are very interested in Bogaerts and expected to make a formal contract offer on Sunday. Okay, as
Yeah.
we record here on Sunday evening. And then Pete Abraham of the Boston Globe, who covers the Red Sox, says the Bogaerts' former team have not made a competitive offer.
Yeah.
And so that eliminates, the hometown favorites for his services, and maybe the Cubs are trying to strike first, and it is one of those two players. And if we're connecting the dots, I do think that's what's happening. And
Yeah.
with Correa and Turner, if the Giants lose out on Judge, you could see them offering big bucks to Correa.
Sure.
Meanwhile, the Phillies and Dodgers, I think, are fighting for Turner. And that might be all there is to it. And easier said than done, but I think that is what I'm seeing. And that's why perhaps as this what could be a chaotic week, Swanson and Bogaerts perhaps more realistic targets right now for the Cubs.
Yeah, and I'm at the point where I just want one of them. Sure, if I had to pick one, it'd be Correa. I've said that dozens of times on this show. But I think
I think a lot
everybody,
of people would.
yeah, I think everybody shares that. But just get somebody. There's so many holes to fill on this team, and there's a lot of work to be done. Get somebody. Let's celebrate it and move on.
Yeah. And over the weekend, there wasn't really much in the pitching department with that discussion and hot stove and rumors and reports. We'll do a cross baseball later in the show. The Rangers made a huge signing, but I still think that the Cubs are firm players in the Senga market. I'm pretty confident in that.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I do think there's a shot that he signs this week because, it was different last year with the lockout. And if you kind of go back to the Ohtani market and things like that, I think that's going to get done before the new year. And it would just make sense if that heats up this week, there's momentum for somebody, and that he signs for Senga. So we'll keep an eye on that. The other two big names were down in Verlander. Again, you make a great point. They're not necessarily setting the market. I do think Senga is at a tier by himself. And the thing about striking early with a Bogaerts or Swanson, I don't know. You add that slide to the presentation.
Yeah.
I think that's all in play.
Yeah, I'd like to after a quick message. I'd like to discuss where you'd be on a Bogaerts or a Swanson. I'd like to hear that. I haven't heard that.
And then one other thing here from the Athletics, Sahadev Sharma and Patrick Mooney, pivoting from the Jose Abreu market. Sam, the Cubs are monitoring Mancini and Bell, which we already knew.
Yes,
and then also Matt Carpenter's name.
I did see that
Was dropped in.
Yeah,
as well.
that doesn't really do much for me. It's not Yankee Stadium.
Right. Coming up next, we'll get to those questions and zoom in a little bit more on Bogaerts and Swanson, and then recap some hot stove from across MLB, and that's all coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. We've got it all at betonline.net. Sam, Argentina won over the weekend. Is it an early line for their next matchup, or how does that work for World Cup?
Yeah, it's a three-way line to advance. I believe they are like right now just very, very slight favorites against a very difficult Dutch opponent, as the United States learned on Saturday morning.
We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts. Welcome back in to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Let's keep it going with the latest in the hot stove, as the Cubs are showing a lot of interest right now in Swanson and Bogaerts, while still monitoring Correa and Turner markets. And what was the question that you wanted to
Yeah,
pose
I'm
there?
just interested to know, and I'd be interested to know what our listeners think. Or like, if the Cubs were to sign Dansby Swanson or Xander Bogaerts to start your week, are you thrilled with that? Are you satisfied with that? Here, let's flip it like this: 0 to 100. 100 being, you feel like they just signed the guy that's going to make the difference in taking us to the postseason. 0 being you think they got worse. Where are you on that scale? With either you could answer it as one or each player. I'm just curious because you haven't discussed that at all.
Yeah. So the question is, what level would they make the team better?
No, like your excitement level.
My excitement level 0 to 100.
Yeah, on each guy.
Swanson, I would say it's like 50-50, like a 50 score.
So you're like, yeah, we signed a guy, whatever.
A little bit, a little
Yeah.
bit. I'm excited, but
Yeah.
I don't know, something
Got a
in
lot of allergies today.
something in with my gut just tells me
Or I might be getting a
I'm
cold.
not as excited
That's fine.
because
You're
he's the
entitled.
fourth of the four players.
You're
It's hard to
entitled.
it's hard to predict the future, but you really want to think the Cubs then or have their hand in many other players then. Whereas Bogarts is more of a foundational player that could really help you score a lot of runs and has done it more consistently
Right.
over time.
Right.
So with Swanson, I say 50. With Bogarts, I would say maybe pushing 80, like a 70, 75.
Yeah, you're right.
The other two players are clearly better in my mind.
They are. They are.
Bogarts is a firm third. Swanson's a firm fourth.
I think the answer is I think the answer has to be above 50 because they got better. No matter which one they sign, they get better. The determinant of the rest of it would be what they do after. Because let's just hypothetically say the Cubs sign Xander Bogaerts tomorrow on a 6-year, $180 million deal. Let's just say it's easy numbers, $30 million a year.
Yeah, I could do that math.
It's
actually.
very, very hypothetical. And 4 days later, Carlos Correa signs an 8-year, $300 million deal. Let's just say hypothetically that's what happens. My numbers are probably off, I'm sure. But let's just say that. Okay. So the Cubs got Bogaerts instead of Correa for 2 years left and a lot and about, $7-8 million per year less. What are they going to do instead? That's where the diet soda comes in. If they just, let's say, sign Swanson or Bogaerts, right? And then they end up getting some mediocre 1-year fillers everywhere else that don't better the team and do the same thing they would have done if they got Correa, that's shortchanging the fan base. But if they use that extra capital, those extra assets, that extra money now of saying, hey, you know what? Maybe Correa, we didn't get Correa, but we went out, we struck early, we got Dansby Swanson, but now we're going to go get Bellinger. Now we're going to get Senga, and now we're going to get Justin Turner. And now,
whoa,
you know what I mean? Now you look
Christian
around,
Vasquez as well.
Now you look around and you add a Swanson, you add your center fielder, and you add a starter and a third baseman. You look all around with these young guys, and that's a really loaded baseball team with tons of guys that have experience winning and intangibles, and that gets me really excited. But
wow, nice, great to paint a picture.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I kind of asked you a trick question because the answers we won't know until they sign anybody else. But I think it's all north of 50 if you just get somebody.
Yeah, because they do have so many needs, as you detail there.
Tons.
And who's to say that Jed Hoyer doesn't strike and make a trade for one of these positions? That would be awesome.
Well, as we speak,
we haven't heard much about the trade market.
Sean Murphy is on the trade block right now, and one of the teams that are involved in that is going to be the team with the arch. Yes. That people think's an entertaining place to live, I guess.
Yes, the A's are close to trading Sean Murphy.
Why aren't we in on that at all?
Yeah, that team, the Guardians, Rays, Red Sox, and White Sox are in it.
I find it almost mind-boggling that we're not even rumored.
Well,
Our
maybe
catching situation right now is Yan Gomes and PJ Higgins.
no, I don't see why Murphy wouldn't be a prime target, a young, dependable catcher under
And
control.
the thing that is interesting to me is that if the return is, let's say the Cardinals give up like their 8th prospect for him,
Right.
and that's like, we have so many prospects. It's the whole reason why you rebuild your prospect, your resources, is to make an easy deal like this. They're going to make a deal like this offseason. I just like Sean Murphy. Guy's got power, and he's a good defensive catcher. He checks off 2 boxes that you really don't have much of right now.
Well, there's a combo deal potentially with Oakland. Get an outfielder from them as well that could potentially
Well, but
man
there's no,
center.
now, but there's no reason to float that out there because we're not even in the rumor.
Right. Well, but we don't, maybe Jed is working in the shadows. I don't know
No.
on that with the A's.
No. We'll see, though. This is good stuff, guys. It's better that I'm in a better mood. The hot stove starting to, you put your hand on there. You know what I mean? Let's do some mail.
All right, coming up next, we have a few different mailbag questions. I think the goal is to get to 5 of these comments/questions, and we'll do that coming up next. Today's episode is also brought to you by Simply Safe. Here at Locked On, we believe home should be where you and your family feel safest, especially over the holidays. This season, give yourself and your family the gift of peace and protection with the #1 rated home security system, Simply Safe. And right now, Simply Safe is offering Locked On listeners 40% off a new security system. So don't put this off. It's a great deal. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by US News and World Report for a 3rd year in a row. Simply Safe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Don't miss your chance to save big on the Safe security system. Get 40% off any new system at simplysafe.com/lockedonMLB. That's simplysafe.com/lockedonMLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Welcome back in to Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen
Positive.
every day. So,
Positive vibes, Matt. Positive. These are good things.
over the weekend,
You don't see
Brian
happy.
Reynolds, an outfielder, requested a trade from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Did you see
Not
this?
going to happen. Not going to happen.
Okay.
Not going to happen.
So,
Not going to happen.
all right. So, Scott from Michigan and Adam in Ohio, Sam, did want to know about Brian Reynolds.
Yeah.
And why is that not going to happen, do you think?
It's just very rare that you get an interdivision trade of that magnitude for a star center fielder. And keep in mind, he's gonna, maybe not a star center fielder, but an all-star caliber center fielder. And keep in mind, the Cubs are only looking for a 1-year filler at this position because the guy they believe is going to be the face of their franchise is coming quickly. I love Brian Reynolds. I think he's a really good player. If he were on the Cubs, I'd be freaking thrilled. I just don't see Pittsburgh dealing him to one of their rival teams. And if they were to do that, that means they would probably want, $1.50 on the dollar for him. And I don't want to give up our prospect capital for that when there's other deals out there, and PCA is coming quick. It's a good thought. I had somebody DM me about it over the weekend. I said the same thing. Unlikely.
All right, very good. EJ from Iowa says, with the Bray going off the table, this changes free agency a lot. If we slide Patrick Wisdom over to first to platoon with Mervis,
Yeah.
do we really need to sign a third base replacement? The Cubs keep loading up on these utility infield types, but is that a viable strategy for corner infielders?
No.
He mentions the player they acquired from the Rays, Morel and McKinstry, and still Wisdom
No.
when Mervis is at first. What do you think about third?
Yeah, I suggested if you can't find first, don't spend on it and let Wisdom platoon there with Mervis and then go get a third baseman. I think that's much more important. But to answer your question, no, it's not viable. I'm not watching Zach McKinstry play third base on opening day. Chris Morel doesn't have enough experience there, and unless he makes a huge jump this spring, he shouldn't be there. If they're serious about winning, they have to figure out that position. And if it's Wisdom at third, then you're going to need another first baseman. But like I said, I think Mervis is going to hit. I think Wisdom's a nice, safe backup. I would love them to go get a established third baseman. I mean, Justin Turner makes a whole lot of sense, man. I know the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers are waiting it out, and I'm so tired of the Dodgers. But man, I'd even give him a 1 year big deal. Give him a ton of money. Who cares for a year just to see? Oh, well, that's sure up that side of the ball.
Speaking of Mervis, we have a new name here. This is Grant from Naperville writing in.
Nice.
He says, "Hey guys, I was very surprised when I saw on Twitter some prospect experts did a prospects draft, and they had Mervis in the top 35. Very surprising. I also love the podcast and listen every day." Yeah, Mervis was picked 31st in one of those hypothetical prospect drafts. So yeah, it's good to see that the first baseman is after an incredible 2022 is gaining more and more national attention.
Yeah, and that stuff to me now that he's at the higher levels, there's no need to overanalyze that. We're going to find out March 30th what type of player he is, and we're going to find out. You got to give him a good few months, and we'll see, right? Like all the projections and can he hit this? Can he do this? Well, we're going to find out soon because he's coming to the show, and he's going to be your opening day starting first baseman.
Right. And on March 30th, I'm predicting he's going to go 1 for 3 with some sort of extra base hit and a walk. And so just please remember that. A few more here. This is Bryce from Iowa. Wow, another great question. Why spend any money? So a hot take and a question. Why spend any money at all on a mid-tier guy in the starting rotation?
Don't.
Just get an ace and let Stroman, Hendrick, Steele, Sampson, Wisniewski, Killian, etc. duke it out for the 2 to 5 spots. No need to sign anyone less than your opening day starter. Use that money for other positions, considering we have plenty of holes to fill. Any acquisition under the quote-unquote Senga tier is wasted money, in my opinion.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I've echoed that sentiment on the show. It's going to the gas station and saying, "Can I get a regular Coke?" And they give you a diet soda. It's been sitting out since April.
And then a couple more things here, Sam. We have Michael in Dallas who checked in with his Spotify Wrapped from 2022. He says, "Shout out to the champs. Most listened new podcast by a long shot."
Thank you.
He had us listened. I don't know if this is a typo. I guess not. 1,110 minutes.
We appreciate that. I had a couple people send me messages when they did the Spotify thing.
We appreciate it.
No, very cool.
Very cool. Yes. And finally, we have a very nice message from Paul in Alabama.
Now that's a new message. We haven't had an Alabama because I usually would make a Sweet Home Alabama song.
Well, no, we've had the Walkers in Trustville.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But you say Trustville, you don't say Alabama.
No, I've said Alabama before.
No, you
Trustville, Alabama.
Yeah, I know that, but you just said Alabama. It threw me off a little bit.
Oh, okay. So Paul from Orange Beach,
they
Alabama.
should be in the college football playoff, by the way. I don't want to watch.
They shouldn't.
No, I don't want to watch TCU play in the college football playoff and watch them lose by 150 points. It's stupid. Okay, I get it. They had a great year. They're not a better football team than the Crimson Tide.
Okay, go host a college football podcast. So Paul in Orange Beach, Alabama says, "I'm new to Locked On Cubs and really enjoy the format, being that y'all are diehard fans like your viewers and listeners. I enjoy the banter and friendly relationship between Matt and Sam. Having said that, it's nice being able to listen to qualified, passionate, and well-spoken hosts that don't interrupt each other the entire show and aren't bound to the feel of a huge corporate production. It literally feels like I'm listening to my homies have an intelligent conversation about the Cubbies.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very nice.
Yeah, I thought he was going to make fun of me for interrupting you a lot. But yeah, no, I appreciate that message. I think that's kind of what we go for on the show. And I'll just wrap by saying this. Get used to it because we're every day during these winter meetings. And you know what? It might be twice. We might record a program tomorrow. And then after, if we sign Bogaerts, I'm dragging you back on this show to break it down. Money, projections. Is he going to win the MVP? Can he hit Can he hit 330? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff right now, Matt, and I want you to be ready to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it would be awkward if we did the regular show, recorded it on demand like always, and they made a signing. So I'm hoping for convenience sake, the signings happen earlier in the day.
People
we'll
understand.
Take anything.
Listen, if they make a signing tomorrow, care if we record 4 times.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Just make my baseball team better.
Just know I'm probably not going to do a instant reaction pod for Chris Bassett or anybody in the middle tier.
No. All right. Wrap the show now. That ruined all the vibes.
Okay. But I am excited for this week. Be sure to hit the subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube. Should have read the room, huh?
Not Bassett.
And smash the like button and all your favorite Locked On Cubs content, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. And thanks for making us your first listen every day.
Miss a bet.
Now make your second listen to Locked On Sports Today podcast. Locked On Sports Today is our 22-minute recap of the previous night in sports. Features local experts on each of the big stories, as well as the take of the day from one of the Locked On hosts. Should be an exciting week. Do we think there's going to be a signing on Monday?
I hope so. And if not, we got to talk the pitching market. Rodon not asking for that much money. Why aren't we involved?
Should be. A lot on tap this week. Keep it right here on Locked On Cubs.